Welcome to another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous with Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo. Today I'm going to be tackling the Vandal Glaive. So about halfway into the beginning part of yesterday's presentation by CIG at Gamescom, so we're talking about 15-20 minutes into it, I take it, they had a costume contest. And during that contest, they made us aware that they were going to be giving away some glaives. And then they had a contest, kinda, sort of, for tickets to purchase 1,000 of the glaives. So the way that this went is you had to log into the brand new Vandal Swarm of 1.1.6, tackle all 18 levels and survive. And then you were given a new badge of honor, something to use as a forum title called Aggressor. Now, if you got the Aggressor badge, you then had an opportunity to be one of the few people, 1,000 out of the 900 and some odd thousand people that have backed Star Citizen, to purchase a Vandal Glaive. Now, that wasn't reserved for the first 1,000 people through the gauntlet that got the Aggressor badge. That was through the first 1,000 sales. So there were also other people that could buy the Glaive, people that had bought the Scythe in the past, and people that complete Vandal Swarm there at the presentation were also given the right that wouldn't be taken away from the 1,000. So this got a little bit confusing, and it's one of the reasons I wound up with the ship. So you had not just the issue of completing the Vandal Swarm and trying to get the badge, but then you had to beat 1,000 people to purchasing it. And I was looking at it like, oh my god, I gotta do it. Oh, am I gonna do it? I don't know. And I wound up burning 3 ships after completing Vandal Swarm to pretty much throw $350 into the ship. Now, is it worth it? Well, we're already 2 minutes into this video and we haven't even shown you the ship, so let's get to that, okay? The first thing to know about this beautiful ship is that it really isn't the Vandal Glaive. Really, it looks like one, it seems to be one, but it's actually a reproduction of one made by Esperia Shipbuilders. I guess that's the name of their company. Esperia are the ones that are going to be building the Prowler, which was a stretch goal that we had quite a bit ago and we should be seeing within the next year. Now, Esperia doesn't really have any of the ships that we've seen yet. So we don't know if they're the ones to build this. But it's not really the actual ship. It was built for a purpose of outfitting aggressor squadrons. Now, we have those in real life. They're usually the ones associated with Top Gun out in Miramar, or Red Flag over at Nellis Air Force Base. These are the squadrons that help train our fighter pilots to be better. And they try to use tactics of the foes that we might be facing in any kind of war in the future. So they're taking that lore and throwing it into Star Citizen and saying that we're outfitting some squadrons with, well, a specific aggressor squadron with this particular ship. Now, it's not a Vandal ship at all. It is 100% UEE Navy. So it was never captured. The technology wasn't ripped off from them. It was just built as closely as possible to resemble it. Well, it is exactly the same ship as you're fighting inside of the Arena Commander module at this point. Now, I'm looking at some graphic glitches, or what seem to be graphic glitches up there, pipes that just go nowhere. That might be fixed in the future, or maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. Maybe it's just more exhaust vents. I wasn't able to tell with this. But the structure is actually very, very beautiful, right? But there are a couple of things that are going to start to make me wonder that if they do want this to be like a UEE built ship, why are they going out of their way to make it look so much like a captured one that was hacked together to fly a pilot? There is more than enough room inside of that ship to put a UEE pilot in a seat. But instead they put it in the much less useful position of lying down. If you think that sitting up and lying down would be the same, what I want you to do is sit in a chair, move your head around, and see what you can see. And then lie on the ground and lift up your head and look around and see what your blind spots are going to be. Though they don't really give you that many blind spots because of the way that you're lying down in this ship. Alright, I'm picking it apart too much. I obviously have one, so I can't dislike it so much. The first thing to understand is that they call this a medium fighter. Okay? Medium fighter. That's a pretty big reach over here. It's a huge ship at almost 92 or 93 feet long, or 31 meters. It's got a beam of 60 feet, 20 meters, and a height of 8.51 meters, and it weighs in at 29,387 kilograms. Well, let's just take a look at what that means to us in comparison to some other ships, okay? So in comparison, the Super Hornet, or let's just go with the F-7A, which is a medium fighter, is about 22, so that would be 66. That's 24 feet smaller than this. But the big number is that it is about 7,000 kilograms, or 7 metric tons, lighter. That's going to be more maneuverable, right? Well, that isn't exactly how it translates. Even though you've got a few less maneuvering thrusters on this than the Scythe, this thing is maneuverable as hell. It is very maneuverable. So here's the front cockpit like I was talking about, and our guy is lying down, and the position, I don't even want to talk about the position he's in here, so I'll just let you guys talk about it, okay? Oh my god, that is just not right. Anyway, so this ship, look at all the room in there. He could have had a seat, but they had to make it so he was lying down. Maybe, just maybe, I'm making too much of this. I don't know. Nonetheless, I really love the way the ship looks. I'm just not liking the way it fights. So let's go back to the whole deal about medium versus heavy fighter. So the way that they're talking about medium fighters here isn't weight class, it's in weapon class. You've got the 2 laser cannons on the front, which are just listed as weak laser cannons. You have 2 neutron guns, 1 in each wing, those tremendously long guns. And then you have 10 missiles, which I believe you only get to fire about 5 of them in the game at this particular point. Again, this is a first pass. This ship needs to be probably worked on a little bit in flight model, and that will be done behind the scenes. So heavy fighter, I don't have specs on the Lightning yet, as we will probably not see it until sometime into the Star Citizen Squadron 42 campaign, but that thing is supposed to be decked out with tons of weapons. Alright, so I'm not unhappy about this, except for the fact that I melted my Freelancer MIS for this. Might have been a stupid mistake, but I'll have to go to Ben to talk about that. So here I am trying to get into a Vanduul swarm. Let's go and see how she flies. My first guess was that they were going to just copy and paste the flight model from one ship into the other. But it does feel a little bit more maneuverable, although it shares a lot of the deficiencies with the Scythe. The 2 laser cannons that overheat too fast, and the neutron guns, which should be firing this way. So I do not think that it's wrong, but the neutron guns that are hard to aim and move slow, so you really have to line them up before you fire. That's the way this game, this ship is supposed to be. But as I started to play, I realized that things were a little bit tougher than I thought, especially because you were so maneuverable and I didn't get a chance to play with my joystick. This is the same theme as my my Vandal Scythe, and if you make a joke about playing with your joystick, you're just too immature. What I mean by that is I need to fix the curves and I need to fix the dead zones on it to make this work better. You can see me over controlling so much, and it's because any little movement makes the ship go too far, which is good. It's supposed to be a very maneuverable ship, and because of that, what you want to do is just increase your dead zone a little bit. That way you can line it up, and then any kind of flick that you do by accident is going to take you off target. Now there are very many pilots that are better than me, and I got to level 18 by the sheer graces of whatever deity helped me. If you believe in God, that's it. If not, if it's the Force, then I use the Force. In reality, it was with the help of Rye, Sir Moho, and Einnyen that I was able to get mine. They took me through the Vandal Swarm, did most of the killing. I was in my Mustang Delta because I just love flying that, and they got me all the way to level 18. It was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful match, with me being the last girl standing and taking on a number of the Vanduul elites, and them winding up dead by crashing into rocks after I was able to get 2 of them. But nonetheless, I got this, and flight model wise, ship wise, kind of happy I got it because it's a 1,000 run ship and probably not going to be sold again. Probably not. They said extremely limited and only 1,000, which my guess is probably going to be, they're going to be somewhere between 12 and 1,500 of these by the time things are done and they get everybody they promised them to purchase one. But I really like it for a different reason, and this is one of the reasons that I will love this ship. And it's because sometimes we don't want to be all good. Sometimes we don't want to be the righteous. And even in my organization, we have a more nefarious secondary organization that does our bidding. And I think this would be the perfect pirate ship. And I really see it as such. And I know that CIG is going to work on this and make it better and fix the overheating of the guns and make it more competitive. They're just not going to overpower it. They're going to give it enough of a fix to make it competitive. And I'd say it is competitive now, although it does suffer the same issues that the early M3A and M4A lasers did, which is they just overheat like crazy. Oh, this is a long-winded one, but I had a really good time flying this, and I flew it in 2 different matches. Here, because I didn't want to just fly through the first 3 levels and then quit, because I wanted to get this video done, I'm in a Vandal Swarm private match, right? I'm just playing by myself. But when I played it inside of the Vandal Swarm co-op match, I was actually able to compete very well, and we had gotten all the way up to level 12 and we were doing extremely well, and then we got a server disconnect message. The Scythe, which I totally ranked on a little bit ago, I need to take responsibility for that match on myself. After playing Vandal Swarm for about 14 hours over the last day and a half, that's actually a huge exaggeration because I worked 10 hours today, I feel like I am much better at it. Oh god, that ship just looks gorgeous. I'm telling you, for the sheer looks of this ship, that's one of the reasons, you know, the ship, it's one of the reasons to buy it. But I'm back on point. This is a ship that I probably did want, and even though I did melt things and purchase it in a fearful, drunken stupor last night, I had drank a half a bottle of wine and decided I wanted it and most likely sold things I didn't want to sell. I'm kind of happy I did. So let's cut down the knocking it and just talk about it. Anytime you could get a ship that's going to be a limited run, that's a good thing. But you're never going to find a ship that's going to overpower another one so much. Chris Roberts likes the rock, paper, scissors game. And that's one of the reasons why this game is not pay to win. You're not paying for the ability to take on everybody. This is a limited ship. It's not the best ship. In fact, it's not best at anything except for, in my opinion, looks at this point. It's a very well done model. It's extremely gorgeous. And I really, really like it. So, for those of you looking for something that you can get and have that not everybody else has, spend the $350. Go out and get this ship, but it's going to cost you some time and effort on your part to get through the swarm. Now, when I looked at this last, there were just under 400 of these left, so by the time I'm done with this video, I fear it may be too late, and if it is, I apologize. But if you are able to get one, hey, join me and the rest of us crazy folks that have jumped in and spent our hard-earned money on a bunch of pixels that are formed into what looks like one of the prettiest ships in the game at this point. Now a view from above in the Revel and York hangar, and we'll close this out. I want you all to remember as you're watching this, you don't have to buy any ships but the starter packages, because you'll be able to get most of these ships one way or another inside of the Persistent Universe when it finally goes live. By purchasing ships right now, you're really showing your enthusiasm, your trust, and your confidence in CIG to bring this game to us, and helping them to do so by giving your hard-earned money to the game to help it get made. I really like the opportunity to help CIG and the opportunity to get these ships to show you here. I can do more on this ship in the future. What I think it is a glorified hangar decoration at this point, a badge of honor, whatever you want to call it, but a really good one. I'm happy I got it, and now I have to find a way to get my Freelancer MIS back. I guess throwing myself on the mercy of the concierge might be the only way that that happens. Folks, I hope you like this review, even though it was a little bit hectic. And thank you very much for listening, for liking, and for sharing my episodes. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.